everybody, happy month of May. Like I said in the other video, there were so many questions this month, yay, that I'm gonna do a bunch of other videos. So let's just jump right into these questions. And the first one is, hey Katie, I've got a question for you. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on complaining? Is it a good or bad thing? Thanks for your videos, they are awesome. You are very welcome, I'm glad you're enjoying them. This is a great question. I think venting, I'm gonna use a different term. I'm gonna call it venting. I think venting is completely healthy and okay, and it can feel really good. The word that we'd use in the therapeutic realm is it's cathartic. Like it feels good to get it out. Once we've vented about it and said all that stuff, then we're like, oh, I feel better now. That is completely healthy and completely okay. Now, complaining on the other hand, I don't always think is a good thing. If we're not taking any action to change what's going on in our life, if we're not working on something and we just want to complain and complain and complain and complain about it to everyone around us, we're gonna burn them out and we're gonna burn ourselves out and we're gonna start feeling really negative, and it can really be like a downhill spiral where we're just like, everything is terrible. And so with all of those things kind of in mind, where venting can be good, but complaining without working on yourself is bad, there's obviously a lot of room in between. And I think overall, the message that I want you to hear is that complaining is fine when it feels good for you, as long as you're doing something to change it. If this is something that's completely out of your control, then it might be something you want to talk about in therapy, because there are ways and things that we can do to feel like we regain some sort of control over our life and situation. But other than that, if we're just complaining without working on ourselves, it can't be a positive thing. I think the overall message that I want you to hear is that venting is okay when we're doing it and it feels good to get it out and we haven't really talked about it before. But if we're complaining about the same thing and not doing anything to change the situation or to work through it or make the problem that is causing the complaining cease to exist, if we're not doing any work on that, it's not going to be a good thing. I don't think it's actually healthy or helpful, and it can end up burning out our supports, like our family or friends. They will get tired of hearing about it. And so I'd encourage you, if you find yourself wanting to complain a lot, just consider, like, hey, am I doing my best to try to find a way to better work through this or make this issue go away? Or am I just continuing to complain because I'm feeling negative and thinking negative? Because that can give you an idea of what maybe you want to work on in therapy next. Now, the second question is, my question is, how is writing down negative thoughts useful? Question mark. I've been asked to write down any negative thoughts because someone can say something to me and I automatically think badly of a situation. Even if nothing negative has been said, it seems as though everything turns into, they must think I'm full of shit or I'm such a waste of space. How is writing about them helpful other than serving as a reminder of how much I feel like a failure? I truthfully don't believe, I'm sure this came through your therapist, but I'm not sure. I truly don't believe writing down negative thoughts on their own is helpful. Unless you're working with a CBT, a cognitive behavioral therapist, who may have you be doing this just to thought track, like what are the thoughts that you have, and then later have you argue back against them. And so I would ask them and let them know that, hey, it just makes me feel like more of a failure, or hey, I'm just starting to feel like shit again because I'm keeping track of all my negative thoughts. You need to let them know, because hopefully there's a positive spin at the end. If there's not, then I would encourage you to give a little pushback and say, hey, I'm just feeling worse, so when is this going to turn around? And hopefully they have an answer for you. Now, the third and final questions for this video, but like I said, there's going to be 3 total videos, so we're only in the second one, so make sure you don't miss the next one. And this question is, do you have any tips on learning to let go of the idea of how my family should be? Parents particularly, and ways to cope. This is such a common thing, and this often happens when we've had mental health issues in our family, or we've had abuse happening, or we just have some kind of unhealthy communication. Whatever it is, we feel like our family isn't what we hoped. And I think a lot of us have felt that way at one time or another, and the truth of it is that working in therapy to kind of grieve the loss of that can be really healing. Another thing that I have my clients do when they're in similar situations like that is writing letters to members of our family on the things that we wished could have happened, but and then also reflecting on what we know they're able to give us. And these aren't letters that you necessarily have to send. You can if it would be helpful for you and your process. But I have my clients do it because I think it's really helpful for them to consider what they wanted and actually writing it out and acknowledging that that's what they'd hoped for. And then also acknowledging what their parents or family members are capable of now. And that in a way is like allowing us to process the loss of that ideal family, and instead like learning to accept and process through what we have now. I know that that doesn't take away the pain really quickly. It doesn't make us feel better right away, but I promise if you take the time to process that grief and then work on the acceptance of what they're able to give you now, it will lead you to a more peaceful and happy space. So those are all the questions for this video, but like I said, there's gonna be more, so make sure you don't miss them. And I just wanna thank each and every one of you for all your support, because without you, I couldn't keep doing this. Honestly, thank you so much, and I'll see you next month. Bye.